Mr. Miyagi style, guys, gals. Happy Friday. Today we are going to be talking about this guy, and you're probably saying, Mr. Miyagi, what is that cool looking thing? Stick around, guys. I might have a inexpensive solution for underwater photography for you guys. Something that's been around for a while and I found, and I want to share it with you guys. Before that, I have some messages from my sponsor. No, I ain't got no sponsors. I just want to mention a couple things. You guys know that the DJI Osmo 360 has launched. There's been a zillion videos about it. Some by pre-testers, some by people who got theirs the same day. And so we're starting to see a lot of videos out comparing that with the X5 and the Qualcomm Cam, which is all 360 cameras. I'm seeing some good things and bad things about this, but I think time is going to tell. And am I going to get it? Probably. I like throwing money at DJI for no reason at all. But you know me, I like my 360 cameras, so I'll probably end up getting it. But I'm going to wait on it for a little bit and see how it goes. Right now, there's been kind of a 50-50. Some are liking it, some are don't. There's a couple of deal breakers for me in terms of that camera. First and foremost is the replaceable lens. That's a big thing for me. There was a creator that did a video about that, and he said it was just a silly thing to have replaceable lens, and nothing biased about that video. You guys know who I'm talking about. Anyways, I won't get into details about that. The other thing I'm going to mention is this guy right here. You see the photo? Somebody had leaked the photos of the new Go camera. And like I said in my last video on this, as I called it, they're not naming it the Go 4. Reason that this person has said. We Asians, we're very superstitious. It looks promising. It's got a new design. A lot of people are kind of humming and hawing about this new square design. Rumor has it is that they're putting some new tech in there that requires this form factor. Okay. And as far as that rumor goes, is that the amount of tech they're putting into this Go Ultra, quote unquote Go 4, cannot fit in the standard Go 2, Go 3, Go 3S pill format. We'll probably see the pill shape format come back in the Go 5, because they're taking this time to try and put in all this new tech into this square one, eventually size it down. That's a rumor anyways. And a rumor for this tech is they're pumping up the resolution, which you've seen already, 4K 60. I think it's going to be higher than that. Maybe a 120, I don't know. And apparently this one also has pure video mode in that little camera, which is spectacular, because we know pure video requires a lot of power, a lot of CPU power, and it does run hot. The pod itself, from rumor again, they're putting in SD card expansion. Okay, so now there's going to be memory expansion as opposed to buying built-in memory for the camera. And I'm hearing also that there may be a replaceable battery in the pod itself. So we'll see. That's the news for today. Back to this guy. What is this thing? This is the new, well, not new, it's been out for a while. This is the DiveVolk SeaTouch 4 Max. That's a mouthful, Riley Reid would say. I'm gonna get a strike for this video. What this thing is a smartphone dive housing, okay? It enables us to take our existing smartphones underwater and effectively take photos and videos underwater rather than investing into a camera system, because we all know that cameras and phone have jumped light years in the past few years. I used to sell point and shoot cameras, and you can't find point and shoot cameras anymore, really, if you go to a camera store or go to your local Best Buy or whatever, just because of cell phones, strictly because of cell phones. Because when I used to sell them, I saw the decline of point and shoot cameras over the past few years, because cell phone cameras have gotten so good. There's no need for anybody to carry a point and shoot around. Okay, those days are pretty much over. Some of the phones today, like the Pixel 9s, the iPhones, the Samsungs, even some of the Chinese brands like Huawei, Realme. I have a Realme, and the camera on it is spectacular. Xiaomi phones, their cameras are just incredible, and that's why we're seeing more and more of this kind of technology come out. I personally like this. You guys know I try to build a macro rig from the Ace Pro, from an action camera. I'm just going to be brief about this. I don't want to get into it too much. I haven't really had much luck with that. The setup is good. The hardware is good. But using a high magnification diopter wet lens, I had a plus 18 on that thing. If you go to some of my earlier footage, I've actually posted above water tests on the macro lens and using an Ace Pro camera. And I'll show you a sample right here. This is what it can do if you can keep the camera still, perfectly still, and get a good macro shot. Like, the lens is incredible. The camera will do it. The big issue I had that, and I faced this a couple weeks ago when I was diving, I was using the macro setup with the Ace Pro and the Ace Pro 2. So the biggest issue I had with using a action camera with a tray and a macro lens, I did the adapter, everything was fine. I think my diopter was too strong, and when you have a plus 15 or plus 18, you have to get relatively close to the subject. And when you're diving, that's a very hard thing to do. It's very easy to do when I'm standing on 2 feet and I'm taking a picture of a bee or whatever, but it's a completely different can of worms when you're underwater and you're basically floating. And as you're floating, you say you're floating in air, in water, you're suspended, and you're constantly in motion. You can never really sit still in water. It doesn't work that way. And if there's a current or whatever underwater, you get pushed around a little bit and you're constantly trying to fight and balance it out. When I'm taking I wish I had photos of me taking photos with my rig. Typically I'm horizontal, suspended, or I'm on an angle like this where I'm facing downwards. And sometimes I've actually taken photos completely upside down, and you can see me with my rig upside down trying to take a photo. That's a very difficult thing to do, to keep still. And with a macro lens of that diopter size, plus 18, if you don't keep still, every movement is magnified, just like a zoom on the camera. When you zoom in on the camera, you move a little bit, that at the end it moves quite a bit, right? So this is what happened here. And I couldn't get a clear shot. The best way I could do was to take a video, like an 8K video, and just take a frame grab out of it. And when I get to a certain point where it's actually clear and I have a clear picture of the subject. The other thing too is that if you're getting too close to the subject, like 2 to 3 inches is effective range for that macro lens that I was using. Small things that don't move is fine, but if you're trying to take close-ups of like lobster, crab, or any kind of puffer fish or stonefish, they're gone. Because you're so close to it, you just kind of scare them away, right? And I wouldn't get that close to something that's more dangerous, like a lionfish or a moray eel or that kind of stuff. Anyways, long story short, it's still a work in progress. I think I just need a less magnification diopter to make it effective with an action camera. The biggest problem with action cameras in this kind of method is action cameras are fixed focus cameras. They don't have autofocusing feature with their lenses like cameras do, or regular point and shoots do, or SLRs do, okay? That plays a big factor when you have movement, because as you're moving, the camera can actually focus on the subject or where you pick on the screen to focus. And that's where it failed for using an action camera in that situation, because you're moving constantly in water and there's no autofocusing. So you're basically manually focusing as you're moving. And we all know how difficult that is. Try it with camera, put it in manual focus and walk around and see how easy it is to focus that subject. It's very difficult to do. This is the same situation I'm running into using an action camera underwater shooting macro. So that's a work in progress. I'll get to it, but right now I want to talk about this. There's two versions of this, okay? There's a Max, which is the one I have, and there's a Max Plus, which is the newer version. The Max is, I think, discontinued just because the newer version is out. They're just going to go with that version. The only difference between the Max and the Max Plus is the size of the case. So the Max Plus can accommodate larger screen phones. And you guessed it, this is basically taking your phone, putting it in here, and going down and getting underwater photography. Now, I'm not new to this. If you look at my earlier videos from way back, I have this unit right here. This is the Kraken KR-H06. It's a smartphone housing as well. And this serves me really well in the past. I've had this for a few years. I love this thing. It really does a really good job. The cover photo that you saw is actually taken from this using an old 6-year-old Realme smartphone. And incredibly enough, that if you have an old phone kicking around, you can actually use it in these housings. All of us have one point or another have upgraded phones and maybe kept one of our old phones. And if the camera is good on that old phone, it's worth using in these housing. I wouldn't use my main phone in it just because if it leaks and my phone gets destroyed, then I'm without a phone on my trip. So I wouldn't just take that risk because anything can happen, whether it's in a housing or not. Accidents do happen. So I'm very careful with my products, and it has happened to me. If you don't have an extra phone kicking around, what you can do is you can go on Amazon or AliExpress. You can actually pick up cheap phones. You know, you don't necessarily need high power phones. You need a phone with a good camera on it. Most phones now have very good cameras. And if you can find one like the, I have one that's a Realme Q. It's a Realme 5 Pro branded. Okay, the Q is the Chinese version. This phone as a phone, yeah, it's mediocre. It's old. It's 5-6 years old. But the camera on this thing, it actually outperforms some of my newer phones that I have. Like I have the Motorola G Stylus, which I just bought like 6 months ago. The camera on the Realme is actually better. It has an ultra macro mode on that camera, so I can actually get macro shots, and you'll see a sample of it right here. And I can get a macro shot up to 4 centimeters, which is pretty close. Like that's about that close. I caught a fish this big. And it gets a pretty crisp, clear photo of the subject. Long range is good too. I was using actually that phone with this old housing, and I took a crap load of photos and videos, and it actually turned out really good. You just have to do your color grading afterwards, right? Why do I want to go? I'm going to explain this very quickly. I don't want to make this video too long. I know I've got a lot of information I want to cover on here. I'm not going to go into details of the DiveVolk and reviews of it and samples of it. I just haven't had a chance to use it. I just got it. I will be using it in October, but I know it's going to work well because it's been out for a while. There's a guy called Matthias Lebo, I think. I'll drop a link down in my description and on here, and check him out. He's actually an ambassador for DiveVolk. So he uses this dive housing exclusive, and he's been using it for a while. And he does a lot of reviews on action cameras, housings, that kind of thing. And he has some pretty good content out there. Definitely check him out, guys. If you want a detailed review of the DiveVolk, he's going to give that to you. I'm just going to tell you what I like about it and why I think this is a good solution for the average recreational diver, even to intermediate or expert or snorkelers even. My purpose here is to give you a solution that's workable and that's and I think this is a very, very economical way of getting started with underwater for grow housing, this single housing. The big difference between the two. So this is the old housing here, the Kraken. Briefly explain this. It's a clamshell. You put in your phone, close it up. It uses Bluetooth to pair up the controls with your phone. You have to use your specific software, camera software, which is a Kraken camera software. I hate that software. I'm not a big fan of it. It's very basic and it doesn't give you a lot of customization, control over your camera. But there's a app called Open Camera. It's an open source app. I'm not sure if it's available in iPhone, but it has a lot more controls, and it will actually work with this housing, because they set it so you can actually connect Bluetooth to this housing and then use a housing to control the actual camera app. I prefer that app more because it just does more and it's just much more intuitive. So you put your phone in, you pair it up first, put your phone in, turn it on, okay? And then you gotta close it. And then you gotta vacuum seal this to make it airtight so it doesn't leak. And then once it's sealed, you can start using the housing. There's two things I don't like about this housing. First and foremost, that it's got electronic components inside and you have to sync it Bluetooth. And you only get the shutter button and 5 buttons on the outside to control your camera. So in other words, I can switch modes from video to photo mode. I can zoom in, zoom out. This kind of ties my hands and what I can do in certain lighting conditions underwater. So that was one part I didn't like it because it restricts my use to the actual camera itself. The second part of this is that it is a heavy case. It's all aluminum. And the pros and cons of aluminum housing is, I don't know if you know this, aluminum housing dissipates heat better. Okay, so when you're using your housing for your Ace Pro or GoPro or DJI, it's plastic. Okay, and you notice that when you buy those housings, you get those little white anti-fog tabs that you have to insert in before you go on each dive or snorkeling. There's a reason for that, because polymer cases, plastic cases, do not dissipate heat. When your camera is in the case and it's being used, it warms up. After a couple minutes, your case will be, actually your inside of the case will be warmer than the actual outside temperature of the water. Okay, so what that happens when you have that temperature shifts, condensation and fogging forms, and that's where those moisture, I call them moisture wake pads, they actually absorb that moisture and prevent it from fogging. It doesn't always work, but it works most of the time. That's why when you open up your case at the end of a dive or whatever, and those pads are drenched, okay, that's all the moisture that it picked up from the inside of the case. It's not that your case is leaked, it's actually the moisture that forms inside of that enclosure. Aluminum cases don't have that problem because aluminum metal dissipates heat. So when it warms up inside, it actually absorbs into the aluminum and it comes out from the outside. So it keeps that temperature regulated between the inside and the outside. Therefore, you don't get that forming of fog or condensation. That's why aluminum cases, when you buy them, they're very expensive. You can actually buy aluminum housing for action cameras. They have them available for the Ace Pro. I'm not sure if they have them available for the Ace Pro 2. It's the same case. But you're talking about a $300 to $400 case. But you never have to put dry wick pads in them because they just don't fog or have condensation inside. That's why they're really good cases. The only drawback with these is because it's aluminum, it's heavy. Okay, if you're diving and you have heavy stuff, weight is critical when diving. Okay, so anything that you carry, anything that you wear will affect your weight when you're diving. Back to this, okay? The DiveVolk. Okay, so this, I show you the advantage of this and disadvantage of this. It has a Bluetooth, which is a pain in the butt. If you don't get it working, something disconnects, and I've had it disconnect underwater, and I'm like, once it disconnects, I can't use my phone anymore. So it's now I'm just carrying dead weight around, and I can't use this thing. So that's a drawback with having anything that's electronic. Bluetooth doesn't work well underwater. Has a very short minimum range, and if something happens and that Bluetooth disconnects, and we know that sometimes our headphones will disconnect out of no reason. If it disconnects off your phone, you can't use it anymore because you have no access to the controls, which controls the phone inside, which controls the camera. This is where this comes in, a DiveVolk. How this DiveVolk works is brilliant, and whoever invented this is just smart as heck. If I remove this cover on the very top, I've got a printed cover on it to protect the screen. There's a reason for that. The front looks the same. Okay, you have the screen in here for the camera of the phone. Okay, I've got a accessory bracket on here, and this thing, if you buy the housing, standalone housing, you don't get this bracket. Okay, you have to buy this separately. And that's one thing I don't like about DiveVolk. They sell everything separately, and it's not cheap. This thing with the 67 ring adapter is about $100. That's a lot of money for just a little clamp. I bought the kit, so it came with that. It came with the housing, the adapter ring, the bracket, a 15 plus macro lens, which is okay. A case for it like this, a really nice case, and also a lanyard. And I think you get the lanyard with the basic one. The nice pouch, which is separate if you buy it. This doesn't normally come with the basic unit. And you can put it in, it protects the screen at the back and also the front, okay? So right on the top of the bracket has a cold shoe, which I mounted a regular finger mount on there for where my Ace Pro is gonna sit when I'm using this. So now I have a still, effective still, and I have a video on top, okay? And there's a little, you'll see this on the front, I don't know if you can see it. There's a little ring that clamps on with this little screw. This pops right off, this whole ring. That ring up there is for a plus 15 wet lens for it. And that ring's a 67 millimeter adapter. So it will mount any 67 millimeter diopter. So now I have this thing in front. And I can pivot this thing over to the screen here. Oh, here. And right in front of the phone camera lens. So now I can do macro with this. And this is a plus 15. I have a plus 18, which also is 67 millimeter, and it will fit on this ring. So that's kind of cool that it gives you this option. The adapter ring is also used for a red filter. So if you want to use a red, I'm not a big fan of filters. I had a bad experience with a red filter. It actually completely ruined a really important footage of mine. So I never use them after that. I'll just do color grading safer that way. And again, every time you put a piece of glass in front of a piece of glass, you're losing resolution. And I just rather do post editing, and I can do it easily. I've done it for a long time. So now, what sets this unique for the rest of the smartphone housing that's out there? There's a few of these out there, and you can do a search. SeaLife makes one. There's another company that makes one. They all have the same purpose. They all use the Bluetooth connectivity to connect to the camera. What sets this one unique is that if I take off this back thing, if you look at the back, it's a touchscreen. So DiveVolk created this thing. It's brilliant. It's actually a gel. If I can turn on. Face recognition. It does face recognition. So it's actually a little gel cover that allows you to use your camera or your phone like a regular phone. So I can activate my camera here. Let me just, I can't really see here. Sorry, guys. So I'm going to tap the camera app. So I can tap the camera app and runs the camera. So look at this. Now I have access to all the controls of my camera. Okay, meaning that I have access to white balance, f-stops. I can switch ISO. I'm in camera mode. I can switch to video mode, right? And go back to camera mode. And I can focus by hitting the screen, and focuses on that point where I hit my finger, and then take my photo, right? This is wicked. So now we have a housing that, first of all, doesn't use Bluetooth. There's no electronic parts in this thing. You don't use batteries, you don't have to recharge it or anything like that like you do with these guys. Now, there's a guy who says, how do you, because the inside of this gel screen, it's a gel screen, it's really wild, it's like a pad. And it works very well with phones. And I can literally watch YouTube underwater with this thing. I just can't hear anything if I get reception down there. I can watch a movie, or I can play solitaire. When I'm doing my 3-minute safety stop, I can play solitaire. Anyways, it's pretty cool that we're now able to use our cell phones underwater like a cell phone. I have 5 camera apps I use, and all of the camera apps that I use have specific features that are specific to that app. And there's no one app that does everything, why I have 5 camera apps. For example, the Pixel 7 has a video recording app called Blackmagic. And this is the one right here. And this app is insane. It has so many features. And I can control those features on the fly now while I'm underwater. Let's say if my ISO is too high, I can adjust it down. Or if my shutter speed is too fast, I can adjust that. I can adjust FPS in the video mode. I can go to 4K, 2K, 1080p right on the camera. I can pick focusing points. I can lock focus points on there by just touching on the screen, and I can take videos with this thing. Normally never could do that with something like this because you're really limited to the controls that you can use on these particular smartphone housing. Whereas this gives you pretty much all the options that you would have just like when you're using your phone regularly. So this is why this sets this thing apart. This actually housing will go down to 60 meters, rated at 60 meters, which nobody will ever go down that far in a recreational, even advanced dive, right? Unless you're a tech diver, that's different. The gel screen is the part where it's very, if you poke it and puncture it, it's done. And that's where these come in. These are like glass, right? You're never gonna break this thing unless you drop it on a coral or something like that. So I'm looking for ways to protect it, and this is one of the ways to protect it. You can actually download this for free and just print it out. It's just like a little plastic screen for 3D printers. You just slide it over and it clips on, and it actually gives you that protection from that screen from being punctured or scratched or whatever, right? Same here, I have one for the front as well. That's the only fragile part of this case, and you just have to be careful. As far as I know from Matthias and his reviews, he says the screen is pretty tough, and he has it hanging and it doesn't have protection, and he's never punctured it, right? So I imagine that if they're gonna do something like that, it's gonna be relatively strong material that they're using for the screen. So that said, Costs. How much is this going to cost me, Mr. Miyagi? It's not going to cost you a lot of money. So I'm going to go through very quickly, and I'm going to end this video off. And if you have any questions, drop me a comment down below. I'm going to go through 3 methods of underwater photography equipment that I've encountered throughout the 14 years that I've been diving with fellow divers. First and foremost is the professional diver. And you guys have seen this in probably movies or on the internet. They have these cameras that have all these things. It looks like the exoskeleton from Edge of Tomorrow. It's got all these things protruding out. It's got all these cylinder tubes and lights and trays, and those things massive, right? It's bigger than my car. And that is what I call the professional rig. Why? Because you're only going to do something like that if you're using it professionally. I don't know any recreational divers that I've encountered, except for one a couple of weeks ago. And I think it's overkill, to be honest with you, to have a rig like that. Because first and foremost, that rig costs an arm and a leg. You can go up to $20,000 to $30,000 building a rig like that. Okay. Second of all, it's way too heavy. It's too bulky. I dove with a guy 2 weeks ago that had a similar setup, and it was, I swear the width of it was this wide, and the whole thing was like this big and this wide with all these things. The cylinder tubes that you see on there are floaters. I call them buoyancy compensators. So what they do is, because when you have a rig that big, it gets really heavy, and those tubes are actually floating devices. So what it does is it creates a balance of buoyancy with that rig. So if the rig is 10 pounds, that floating thing will float 10 pounds. So basically that is a neutral buoyant gear. So it has no weight to it in the water, okay? So it doesn't affect your buoyancy when you're in the water. That's what those tubes are for. They're not weights, they're actually the opposite. And then you have the lights and stuff like that, and it gets heavy and it gets expensive. The gentleman that I dove with 2 weeks ago had an SLR in there, a DSLR in there, and the housing, and he had 2 lights, floodlights, and then he had those buoyancy compensators, those floating devices in the big tray. And he can't even jump in the water with this thing. He had to jump in the water and have one of the guys in the boat hand it to him. It was that big. For me to carry something that big underwater and just get the few candid shots, it's not worth it. Because his rig, I talked to him, he bought a lot of it used and stuff like that. And his rig was about $3,000 US, $3,000 to $4,000 US. That's still a lot of money, guys, compared to what this is going to be, or the price I'm going to tell you about this. That's the first thing. That's if you're doing professionally. If you're getting paid, yeah, you can justify investing that kind of money in that kind of, and you do get some pretty nice shots with that setup. I'm not going to debunk that at all. The second rig. The second one is one that I actually had a chance to use, and it's a very good camera, a very good brand. It's a company called SeaLife. Now, if you don't know about the company, SeaLife actually specializes in underwater photography equipment. They do housings like this as well, but again, it's a Bluetooth enabled, has the buttons and everything on it. And they also do a camera, which is the Micro 3.0, you'll see right here. And it's actually pretty cool. I had a chance to use it a few years back. There was a gentleman that I dove with that had it. He said, yeah, just take it out for a run. And it gets some really good pictures. It's actually really designed for macro photography. It's not cheap though. So this rig that you see right here, it's the Micro 3 with the tray and also the Dragon light. And the camera itself is $600 US. The camera tray and the Dragon light, you can buy that kit. It's about $1,000 US. Okay, so now you're in about $1,000 US. If you want to add on to, you can get a tray with 2 lights, and I think it maxes out about $1,400 US for the complete system. And you can buy different Dragon lights. There's some really nice lights. Good equipment, good quality equipment. No qualms about this company. And then the third system, this is the one I've seen the most of right here. This is the picture of it. And you've probably seen this kicking around. This is probably the most popular one that I've seen while diving. It's not that far from the SeaLife cost. And a lot of people like this because it's more practical. The SeaLife camera, if you look at the camera, it's actually quite big. It's a bulky looking camera. It looks like an SLR. It's not something that you would take on the beach, you know, when you're just sunbathing or by the poolside. It's got a specific goal, and that's for underwater photography. And some of the shots that I've seen come out of this camera is spectacular. That's why it's very popular for a lot of recreational divers. First of all, it has a great lens for macro photography. And second of all, it's small. right? It's a small form factor. That camera itself, it's just like a regular sport waterproof camera. So it's something that you can take on a vacation with you and take by the pool or by the beach with you and get some really good shots out of the water. It's a great product, great quality photos, cost-wise. That camera, I think in Canada here, I'm gonna go by US price point. It's about $599 US for the camera, okay? The camera is not rated for dive depth. So you would have to get the dive housing for it. If you buy the branded, the Olympus or the OM branded housing, it's about $200 to $300 US. And then you have to get the tray, the lights. That's going to set you back another probably $200 to $300 US as well. Okay, minimum. You can get into higher end stuff. More, I'm just going by the base unit, the cheapest that I can find, because I'm cheap. Anyways, so you're looking again pretty close to the SeaLife. But if I had a choice between the two, I would probably take the OM system just because it's like a regular waterproof camera with a lot of features on it that you can use for underwater photography. Okay. So all the systems I talked about, except for the very first one, you're looking roaming around $1,000 US to get started. Now, where this comes in is, how is this going to save you money? Okay, I can do the same system probably for almost half the price, less than half the price. This unit right here, the SeaTouch, the DiveVolk SeaTouch Max Plus, which is the current model, okay, will set you back about $235 US. Okay, so that's already less than half the price of any of the cameras that I've mentioned, the SeaLife as well as the OM system one. If you want to get a tray and a light for this, you can pick them up cheap. Get a tray on Amazon, it's about 50 bucks. You don't need anything spectacular as long as it's a standard tray that has the ball mount on it. The ball mount with the light will set you back 50 bucks US, 100 bucks US max, and you get a pretty good light. This is the tray I use, and this light set me back about 50 US, and that's a nice dive light. It has several modes, and it's insanely bright. And I use this for diving. You can go into flood, spot. It even has a amber light, and also has a red light. So if diving, you don't want to scare the critters away, they say use a red light. It actually works better, okay? And believe it or not, this one right here, that's a UV light. So if you want to pick up blood spots at a murder scene. Anyways, so there's different modes with this light, and this tray works really well. This mounts right on my tray like this. I have my Ace Pro 2 on top, and I'm ready to go. And I have a tether. I tether everything. The cost of this is going to be $235 for the base housing. If you want to get the mount, it's another 100 bucks. Okay. Do you need it? No. You can actually start with the base, and if you like it enough, you can upgrade the system and build on it. This is a great system. You just slap this thing in with your phone, just go snorkeling, take a few photos, come out. Hey, check it out. It's great, right? Guys, I think this is a great idea for beginners and intermediate, even into the advanced, right? It's something that you don't have to spend a lot of money getting into, and it's using a device that we already have with us, or we may have one kicking around the house. And if you do want to get another phone that has a good camera, they're very cheap to buy now. You don't need it for the phone, you just need it for the camera. The only drawback with this is that when you buy this particular unit, there's a bracket that comes in the phone like this. And you have to put your phone in, specific phone in, and slide it in so it doesn't move around inside the housing. When you buy the housing, you have to send an email to the company and tell them which phone you have. They will give you two options, and they will print one out for you. It's 3D printed. Like, this is just a piece of plastic bracket. They will 3D print it and sell it to you for a small fee. It's not expensive, it's like 10 bucks. Or they will give you access, and I have access to the website that has all the print files for pretty much every phone that's out there. So you just cross-reference your phone, find a code, get the file, download, and you can actually 3D print it yourself. So I printed both for the Realme phone as well as my Pixel 7. I hope this helps, guys. I hope I gave you enough information. There's not a lot of detailed information about this, just what I like about it and how I find this to be useful and more economical for the average recreational diver who wants to get into underwater photography. Even for the snorkelers, it's a great option to have with you because you have your phone with you already. And you can just take this down in water, take some shots, and then all the images on your phone, you can just send it right away to your social media, to your friends, family, and share it right there. You don't have to worry about taking it back, downloading it from your camera, do post edits, blah, 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 and then do it that way. So that's another option why this is a good idea, is that you have everything on your phone. You can just send it from your phone. But that's it, guys. I hope this helps, and I hope you guys enjoy. I'll put all the links of the cameras that I've mentioned, the housings, Matthias's link. If there's any questions, drop me a comment down below and let me know what you think, or if you have any ideas, even better ideas than I do. I definitely love to hear from you guys. But yeah, have a great weekend, guys. I'll see you guys on the flip side. Bye.